Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Transforming Relationships Through A Course in Miracles with Doc Quinns.
And
You know who
Holy Spirit.
in the house.
You never leave home without it.
Don't ever do that.
That would be foolish and not wise.
That's right. And not a good time. Well, as we always do on Tuesdays, we are reading from A Course in Miracles.
Yeah.
A Course in Miracles is a self-study curriculum whose purpose is peace of mind all the time. That's the purpose of A Course in Miracles. It's a self-study curriculum. It is a curriculum. It's not a religion. It's not a cult. Contrary to popular belief, there's no centralized teacher. It's just a curriculum, and it has a text, a teacher's manual, and a workbook, 365 daily workbook. But some people find it helpful to study with teachers, meaning people who have been studying it for a while. So Greg and I have been studying it for a while, and so we help people to learn how to study it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's our purpose. Our purpose as teachers is to make ourselves completely unnecessary. So that's our purpose as teachers, that you would learn how to read A Course in Miracles for yourself and be able to get from the Course in Miracles the miracles that come from the study and application of it yourself.
And I would like to say something on that. With the Course in Miracles and teaching, is that Anna and I were reading this past week, and we're talking, and we're talking about Marianne Williamson and how she had brought more light to, the awareness of A Course in Miracles.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of laughing and chuckling with Anna, going, do you know how many Course in Miracle teachers there are, like in the world? Like just a few grains of sand compared to
all the people in the world.
Yeah, all the sand in the world. Just picking up one little scoop off the beach, and that's the amount of Course in Miracle teachers you have.
Yeah.
And the prophets of old, the teachers, have told us before that the harvest is great. In other words, the need for truth is great, but the workers, or you could say the teachers, are few.
Right. The laborers are few.
And I was bringing up that scripture, and both Anna and I were just like in awe of thinking that a day could come wherein the world wakes up to the great need
and the great value of this teaching.
Yeah, of this curriculum, right?
Right.
And I personally, the reason I brought this up is I personally believe that a lot of our live people that come here every week, not on Tuesdays, but with Anna's classes and whatever, I could name the names, but you know who you are.
That's right.
When that time hits, we're going to be like, it's going to be like, because you can't learn the course over a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't.
Oh, right.
You could. Anything's possible.
Mm-hmm.
But it took many decades and years to learn the false narrative.
Yes.
And so to get all of that false programming out of you, it's almost like we've been brainwashed since we were a child. And all of that, what the curriculum does is it takes all that brainwashing and it has to calculate our brains, as the scriptures say, to transform our minds into the mind of the thoughts of God, the way God thinks.
Yes.
And the way we've been brought up in the world is the opposite of the way God, the Creator, thinks. And so I just wanted to encourage you, Mary, Tricia, the Eileens, Stephanie, Shahira, those that come on, and there's so many other names that you are needed.
Yes.
You are needed.
That's
The
right.
harvest is great and the workers are few. So
Exactly.
thanks for putting in the time,
Yes.
week in and week out, to learn to be the best planter, harvester, and teacher worker that we can be.
Absolutely. Beautiful. And Mary, thank you for reminding me to turn on my Facebook page, and I've done that. So let me know if you can see me on Facebook. You can let me know as well. And
Thank you, Mary.
thank you so much. Mary's so helpful, reminding me.
Mary.
She's like, always like, you're not on Facebook.
Yep.
Okay. All right, great. So thank you, Mary. Hi, Trisha, honey. Lovely to see you. Wonderful. Trisha says, hello, my beautiful, loving companions. That's what we are. Thanks for recognizing us, Trisha. And can you guys see us okay and hear us okay? But let me know if the music's too loud, too soft. And thank you for helping us out here. Well, where we're going to be reading today is chapter in the Course in Miracles, chapter 24, section 5. Trisha says the Course has saved my life. Amen to that. And I know that's true, Trisha. Greg and I know we've been friends of yours for many years. And just like the Course in Miracles saved our lives, we know that it has saved yours too. That's what it does. They don't call it a Course in Miracles for nothing. So, all right. So where we're going to read today is chapter 24, section 5, the true self in you. The title is The Christ in You, and the Course in Miracles defines the Christ in you as your true self. It defines the Christ as the self we share, the universal self we share. That is how A Course in Miracles defines the Christ. The Christ is not a person. The Christ is the universal self that we share. That's how the Course in Miracles defines the Christ. Also, the Christ in you is your true self as God created you. So your pure, innocent, guiltless self, the way that you were created and the way that you have remained. So it's your true self. It's the way that it's your true self that is still your true self. Okay? That has not been defiled. It has not been defiled. It's still pure. It's still powerful. It's still holy. That's your true self. Okay, so we're going to talk about your true self. Okay, so this is like True Self 101.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because when I was first in A Course in Miracles and I would hear a term like the Christ in you, I would assume that I'm innocent not because of me, but because of this something else. And
This other teacher.
The ego's teaching will never allow you to be innocent.
Right. Exactly.
Or you to be guiltless.
Right.
You to be powerful.
Right.
You to be loving.
In all of our religious traditions, there were the holy ones, and then there was you. Yeah. And you were never the holy one.
Right.
You were never the holy one. Right. It was like, Allah, he's the holy one. And then there's Moses, he's the holy one. And then there's Jesus, he's the holy one, but not you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Course of Miracles is saying, no, the holy one is you.
Yeah.
You are the one who is the way that God created you. You are God's child. In our religious traditions, it was like there was God's son, and then there was you.
Yeah, it's like we're it's like we're lined up to get into the nightclub of heaven, and the bouncer's at the door, and he goes, "Okay, what's your name?" Now I don't see you on the list as approved here,
right? And
then we have to say, "Well, Jesus sent me, or Muhammad sent me, or Joseph sent me." Okay. All right. You have somebody to vouch for you. All right.
Right.
Where you're never going to be good enough according to the ego.
Right. Whereas A Course in Miracles teaches that God knows no partiality. God doesn't have favorites. God doesn't have like God's child, and then there's you, and that God creates in perfect equality. And according to A Course in Miracles, God has only one child, one creation, and that's us.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh, here's God's favorite, and then there's you.
Right.
And the best you could do is hope that God's favorite child, favors you or has mercy or pity on you.
And it's good that you came in to heaven with your friend, because if you didn't have your friend,
you ain't getting in.
You would be kicked out.
Because,
you're never going to
what we learned about God is God has favorites, God plays favorites, and you're never going to be that one. You're never going to be holy. You're never going to be the holy one. You're never going to be God's favorite. You're never going to be God's son or daughter. But A Course in Miracles says the exact opposite. And A Course in Miracles says that you are God's child. You are God's child, and that God's child is one. God has one child, one creation, and that's us, taking the form of a million kajillion bodies. That's what A Course in Miracles says about our true self. We are God's one child. We are God's holy and innocent one child, all of us. So when the Course in Miracles talks about the Christ in you, it's talking about the one self that God has created as God's creation, that has retained its innocence and its sinlessness, and that innocence and sinlessness can never be defiled.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your true self. Your true self is the self that God created you to be, that has never been defiled.
Mm-hmm.
That's just as innocent and sinless as the moment that it was created. And we are that. It's not like, it just makes me so mad sometimes to see how the religions of the world make God out to be this parent who plays favorites and plays their kids against other kids, and God has special kids, and it's just it makes me mad, because how could you not fear a God who plays favorites,
mm-hmm.
And pits some of their children against other of their children. That makes God seem like a psychopath,
mm-hmm.
And what we learned about God is a psychopathic, cruel parent who has favorites and who plays his kids against other of his kids. So, Course in Miracles' concept of God is 100% opposite. According to A Course in Miracles, God is only love, only unconditional love, and God has only one creation, one child, and God created that child complete and perfect and sinless and guiltless forever, and that can't change. And we are that one child. We are that one creation. That's what A Course in Miracles teaches.
And, in the Bible, there's a story that many people are familiar with, of Cain and Abel.
Mm-hmm.
And that God loved the one and
mm-hmm.
quote unquote hated the other. Now, what loving parent?
What healthy loving parent?
Healthy loving parent.
None.
Would love one and hate the other.
No, none.
And then, of course, the rebuttal is, well, Greg, that's God, because it's in the Bible. But I'll just leave it at this, and then we can go on to reading. But the Bible is just like the world that we're currently living in. The world that we're currently living in, the Course teaches us from the very get-go, from coming out of the gate, that our healing comes from awareness. That awareness that there's two voices at work in our mind. One of those voices is for us and not against us. And the other voice is against us and not for us. And if we don't realize that's what's going on, we're just going to live in a state of being tossed back and forth, to and fro, confused, because we're not aware that there's two different voices going on. And that's what the Course teaches us. There's two different voices, Greg. You need to have a discerning spirit of, oh, I recognize that voice. oh, and I recognize that voice. And I'm going to follow that one, and I'm not going to follow that one. And that's what the Bible teaches as well, is to, but nobody was taught that. They were always just taught, no, there's just one voice at work.
Right.
There's only one voice. Well, that
In the
type
Bible
of
is speaking through
learning,
the Bible and the Old Testament and New Testament.
right. And so that type of learning leads us right out back to where we are before we read the Bible, not aware that there's two voices at work. And I know that offends a lot of people. They're like, no, everything in the Bible is true, everything is correct. And if it wasn't all correct, then how can you trust any of it?
Right.
Well, you can trust
the loving part.
The loving part, because the loving part is trying to, just like in the real world, it's trying to come through. But you have that other voice always coming through with it, going, no, 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 no. Let's hate one and love the other.
So just like we all have two voices in our mind, the voice for love and the voice for fear, so our religious traditions have also had two voices in them, a voice for love and a voice for fear. And through A Course in Miracles, we are learning how to discern the difference between the two voices. And we are learning through A Course in Miracles that only the voice for love speaks for God, the real God, and for us. That's what we're learning. And we're learning how to identify, to tell the difference between the two voices. And we're learning how to choose to listen to only one voice so that we can experience only joy all the time.
Yeah, it would sound confusing to say God is no respecter of person. And God reigns, or you could say blesses both the just and the unjust. But then you hear a story of how God
has
favors
chosen
one and hates the
and
other.
that some people are chosen.
How can God be no respecter of person?
And then have a chosen people.
And that's why the Bible seems to be a conflict, but it's not a conflict. The world is not a conflict. Not if you rightly discern, rightly divide truth from the false.
And the two voices.
And really, both the curriculums teach the same thing. It's just the courses, in my opinion, it's just the fast track. It's
to me,
through all of the BS and says this is how it really is.
Well, to me, the course only has one voice, whereas in my perception, the other religious traditions have two voices. So all the religious traditions, you got to be like, well, is that the voice of real God, or is that the voice of the ego or whatever? But of course, in Miracles, in my perception, only has one voice. So it's consistent.
Right.
All the religious traditions, total inconsistency. God is no respecter of person, but then God has a chosen people. It's like very inconsistent. That's why I love the course, and that's why a lot of people have referred to A Course in Miracles as the third testament. You've heard the first testament, the second testament. That's what A Course in Miracles I've heard referred to, and I love that. The third testament. Where it's only one voice, and that's the voice of God. All right. Okay, ready?
You look beautiful.
Well, thank you, honey.
Tonight.
You too,
Thanks
honey.
so
Clean up okay yourself, honey.
All right.
Thanks for noticing.
And now we get to hear your beautiful voice read to us.
Thanks, honey. All right. So we're going to talk about your true self. You ever wondered, what is my true self? Will my true self please stand up? All right, so we're going to hear about your true self. And what's the value in hearing about, learning about what is your true self? Well, if you know what your true self says and does, then when you see the other self, the fake self, then you can go, oh, that's not me. That's my fake self. And then you can not believe it, not fall for it, not follow it, and not suffer because of that. Okay, so you want to know the difference between your true self and your fake self. Your true self is the self God created you to be. Your fake self is the one you learned that you were from birth, this lifetime. Okay, so that's the difference between your two selves. But if you don't know the difference between your two selves, then you're going to hear your fake self and think that's really you and feel bad. Now, if you know the difference, then when you hear your true self, then you'll be like, okay, that is my true self. I'll listen to that. I'll follow that. And then you're going to feel good.
Mm-hmm.
It's real simple. Okay, here's the first thing about your true self. Your true self is very still. It's quiet. No drama. No conflict. It's not loud. It's not commanding. It's not demanding. It's still. It's relaxed. It's at peace. That's the first thing you want to know about your true self. So let's close the door. I can hear the washing machine. Thanks, baby. Can you guys hear our washing machine? It's particularly loud. Thank you. Okay, so the true self, can you guys see our puppy right here? Oh, that's our puppy, whose name is Spirit, because she reflects our true self.
She's too big to lift up.
Yes, she is. But she there. Yes, good girl.
Hanging out with the mommy and the daddy, and
that's right, where she likes to be. Okay. All right. Okay, so first thing we heard about your true self, the Christ in you, your true self, it's very still. It's not loud, it's not high drama, it's not in conflict, it's at rest, it's at peace. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, here's another thing about your true self. All it looks on, all it sees, all it looks on, all it looks for is what it loves. That's all it does. It's not looking to look at what it hates. It's not looking for stuff to judge. It's not looking for stuff to compare itself to. It's not looking for stuff to attack. It's not looking for what it hates. Your true self, all it's doing is looking on what it loves. And in other words, all your true self is doing is looking on what it knows as itself. That's all it's doing. Lovingly. So it's still, it's all it's looking on is what it loves and what it recognizes as itself. That's all it's doing. Oh, how I love this. This is part of myself. Oh, I love them. They're part of myself. I love this mountain. It's part of myself. I love this plant. It's part of myself. I love this person. They're part of myself. That's all your true self is doing. Mm-hmm. Looking on what it loves and knows as itself. Isn't that beautiful? Mm-hmm. You're so beautiful. I love you. You're a part of myself. Oh, you're so beautiful. I love you. You're part of myself. Whether it's a bug or a tree or a person or a mountain or whatever.
Or your job.
Or yourself. That's what your true self sees. Okay? And in this way, your true self, all it's doing is rejoicing at what it sees because it knows that whatever it's looking on is one with it and one with God. That's what your true self sees.
Anything that's real, in reality, is joined with God because anything in reality came from God. And so it has to be joined with God. Right. And if you came from God, you're joined with God. If Anna came from God, she's from God. Mm-hmm. And so we're connected and one with each other, having come from the one source that we all came from. Okay. We're all joined in that. And
we're all related.
Yeah. That's been something that I've gotten so much in a download from Spirit lately is how connected we are. Mm-hmm. And part of that for me has been, I've been learning it because I've been really recognizing that as I give to Anna, I'm giving to myself. Why? Because we're joined, we're one. Mm-hmm. And so I love that it's a reminder tonight, right out the gate, that the Christ in me, which means again, the true self in me, who I really am, not talking about somebody else, the innocent, guiltless one in me is connected with everything, joined with everything, happily.
Yes.
Not like, oh, I'm joined with Frank over there. Yeah.
Right. What's the opposite of looking on everyone and everything and seeing it as a beautiful and lovable part of yourself? What's the opposite? So you look on somebody and you're like, ew, I'm glad I'm not them. You know, or like, ew, like, or I wish I was them.
Right.
You know,
True.
you know, that's the opposite of looking on everything you see with love, recognizing that it's a part of you, it's one with you.
Yeah.
You know,
You're right. We tend to categorize everybody as less than us
or more.
or more,
Right. Comparison.
but not the same.
Always different.
Because it's not because we're evil or bad that we do that. Again, it was our programming since our birth that, Greg, you're not like anybody else. Okay?
You're different.
You're different. Some people are going to be worse. Some are going to be better.
But you're different.
Just know you're different.
Right. So our fake self, our self-concept that we learned from childhood that wasn't true, that's the fake self that's always looking on others and seeing differences and hating those differences. Whether the difference is they're better than me and have more than me, or the difference is they're different from me and they have less than me, you know. So, but the fake me, my false self-concept, does not see everyone as part of me and one with me and love them because they're one with me. So here's the difference that will help you to know how to tell the difference between when you are thinking with your true self and when you are thinking and identifying with your false fake self.
And doesn't it all stem back to the beginning of how it all started with us, which we call the Garden of Eden? But in the Garden of Eden, we were all told a story, and that story is a symbol of our own life. The story starts out with Eve was, looking at this fruit, and this snake, or you could say a thought, entered in that said, you know what? You're not like God.
You're different.
You're different. And in fact, you're so different that the only way you could be like God is to do something outside yourself. Here, how about you take a bite of this apple?
That God forbid.
And then he's like, well, why would I want to do that? And the thought says, well, because if you do that, then you'll be like God. Where God said, you were made in my likeness, in my image. You are like me.
You are one with me.
You don't have to do something outside of yourself to be one with me.
Exactly.
And that line of thinking is where we got derailed, went off the train track.
Into the separation.
Collided into some small innocent town.
That's how we felt. That's when we fell asleep.
Yep.
And dreamed a dream of separation.
And now we're walking backward to the Garden of Eden, like the prodigal child coming back thinking, I am no longer worthy to be called your child.
Right. Exactly.
Yet to only learn when we fall back into our parents' creator's arms as we come, not even back into the gates of heaven, because our parent has ran out to meet us saying, you are just like me. You are my name. You share my name.
We are
you
one.
Are my equal. People get very, very offended. I know from witnessing on other spiritual chat sites on the internet, we get very offended because of our upbringing to say we are equal to God. They even accused Jesus of that. They said, this man is making himself equal to God, like God. Or you
one
could say,
with God.
One with God. And even he was saying, if you've seen the Father, you've seen me. The Father and I are one. The parent and I are one. And that's very offensive to people.
Very.
And then we finally came around to where, okay, well, Christ can be that way.
Mm,
And we're just going to make one exception.
right.
And God's going, no, no, no.
No.
There's
Right.
a Christ in you also, but
Right.
it's not somebody else, it's you.
Right.
You're the innocent one. You're the one with me. You're joined with all of me.
Right. Exactly. And that's what your true self knows, and that's what your true self sees. So when you're seeing through the eyes of your true self, then all you're seeing is that which is one with you that you love.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that sound beautiful? That sounds like a happy day.
Oh,
You know,
for
you
sure.
walk out into the world and you're like, all I saw was these beautiful, gorgeous, radiant parts of myself, and I couldn't help but love them.
Right.
You know, when you see something as one with you, you cannot help but love it.
Mm-hmm.
Truly. Right. So we're talking about what your true self, according to A Course in Miracles, which A Course in Miracles calls the Christ in you. So the Christ in you is your true self as you were created by God, that has not changed, has not lost one iota of its innocence. You know, the Course in Miracles says, you remain exactly as God created you, which is one with God, and perfect and sinless and whole and complete, and one with everything there is. That's the way you were created, and that's the way you remain. That's your true self. That's your true identity. And the Course in Miracles calls it the Christ in you, your Christed self, which means your true self, okay, which hasn't changed, still the same. And no matter what you've done, okay. Now, then it says, yes,
Okay.
Serge. Hi, Serge. Lovely to see you, Serge. A beautiful, beautiful message. Thank you. Agape love to you too.
Holy Spirit, holy, holy, holy blessings to all of you. Sending unconditional love. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Sending divine love. Sending agape
love.
And to you all, family and friends.
Yes.
What
I'm telling you, what a blessing. Thank you, Serge. I love it. Beautiful. Serge, where are you watching from? What part of the country are you watching from? Just curious. And welcome to our broadcast. Thanks for being here. Thanks for blessing us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Serge says, restoration of all things. All right. And Mary says, I thank God for you guys. And then Mary also says, love hearing that, Greg. And Mary also said, we have a cute doggy. So I think Mary has some correct perception.
We
have the cutest doggy that ever was.
I used to lift Spirit up, I think once or twice when
she was 3 months old.
Yeah, and she took up like my whole body.
I couldn't lift her.
Yeah.
At 3 months old.
She couldn't lift her from day one that we brought her home. Mm-hmm. So now all we can do is point the camera down.
That's right.
She weighs like 90 pounds.
No, she's 100. 90 to 100
pounds of just pure agape love.
Pure agape love. We could have named her Agape. But then people would think, did you just name your dog Guppy? Serge says says he's in Florida.
Oh,
well, awesome. We're making plans to go to Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah. Serge, we're heading to Florida. Was it the east?
We got our brother and sister-in-law that live.
No, we're going to go visit your daughters. We're going to.
Oh yeah,
where is that?
Out there to.
Do you remember the name of that part of Florida?
I can't.
Anyway,
it'll come to me later, maybe.
All right.
But we'll be right on the beach.
That's right.
Walk right out the townhouse, and we're looking forward to it. We're very much water people.
That's exactly right. We love the water.
The ocean.
Love the ocean. All right. So we're talking about our true self, and ain't nothing better than hearing about your true self. All right. So that's what we heard, that our true self is always rejoicing at what it sees, because whatever it sees, it knows is one with it, and it can't help but love it. That's how your true self, that's what your true self sees. Okay. So that's how you know whether you're seeing with the eyes of your true self or your fake self.
Well, I'm seeing you with the eyes of my true self.
Right on.
I'm happy, very happy that I'm one with you. enjoying this.
Right on. Well, then you are definitely seeing through the eyes of your true self.
Oh,
And how's it feel?
oh, we'll talk about it.
All righty now. Okay. Settle down now, honey. Okay. Sarah says, very good. I'll be looking. I'm in Fort Lauderdale. Okay, awesome. Beautiful.
I love Fort Lauderdale.
Me too. I love Fort Lauderdale too. Okay. Yeah, Greg and I have been talking about how one of our fantasies is that we would have an RV that we could travel to see you guys.
Yeah, we
wherever
just
you're
want
at,
to travel around
you know,
to
and meet you guys and re-course with you guys.
Exactly.
Well, that'd be fun.
We've done that with Trish when we first
That's
started
right.
that out, and then we got off to Mexico.
That's right.
Now we're back
Right.
in the Rocky Mountains.
So someday when we have our RV, we're going to come see you guys and we're going to study course together.
Yeah.
Maybe on the beach with Serge, or maybe in Virginia with Mary. Mary says, Greg, you always make me laugh when you speak to Anna.
We were talking
We've been laughing about your comment from last week,
about,
Mary.
Just before
Literally, we've been laughing and appreciating at the comment that you shared last week. It was so funny. So funny.
We commonly during the week refer to our Mary.
Yes, we did. We're like, that was so funny when Mary said da 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 da.
Yeah.
And then I go, she's a Scorpio.
Yeah. Scorpio,
She's only a Scorpio.
You understand, don't you?
Only one of our Scorpio students would say that.
Yeah.
And we look forward to coming to visit you, Mary. You know, Mary is in Virginia right now, so she's on the beach too.
Well, you come visit us.
Absolutely.
Walk in nature.
Truly, if you guys are coming to Colorado, you know, anywhere near Denver, look us up. Let us know. Come visit us. Come to class. Come join us. Come join us for this class, this broadcast. All right. Mary says, LOL. I felt guilty after I said that. Mary, that was such a blessing.
That was perfect.
Greg and I have been enjoying that comment and laughing about that for an entire week. So don't ever feel guilty about expressing yourself, Mary. We love what you say. You're a Scorpio. We know. Greg's Scorpio. We get it. We love it. Okay. Okay, so we're talking because that comment was obviously coming from your true self,
right?
You know, so all right, here we go. Now, so our true self rejoices at whatever it sees because it knows that whatever it's seeing is one with it and one with its source. Okay, and that's why it's happy. Okay, that makes for a happy perception. When you look at what you see and you're like, man, they are one with me. So Scott is a Scorpio. Oh, no wonder. Of course. Greg is very Scorpio. Got lots of Scorpio going on.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of Scorpio in my chart. I'm not a Scorpio, but thank God, because somebody got to keep us grounded, right? Somebody got to keep us from being censored off the internet. That would be me.
Yeah, I was telling Anna, we need to have a Course in Miracles OnlyFans.
Course in Miracles only old fans.
And then she changed it to only.
Course in Miracles only old fans channel. All right. Thank you, Scorpio. Okay. And then Mary says, okay, I'll keep it coming. All right. Now, so we're talking about what our true self sees and what our true self sees. It sees that everything that it looks on is one with it and one with God. And that makes it very happy. And it can't help but love everything it sees. Knowing that everything it sees is one with it and one with God, it is happy and it loves it. Okay. Now, then there's another, our fake self also takes joy in what it sees. So it says specialness also takes joy in what it sees, which means our self-concept, our fake self, our not true self also takes joy in what it sees, even though what our ego self sees is not true. So our ego self is taking joy in what it sees, and our real self, our true self, is taking joy in what it sees, even though what our ego self sees is not true.
Mm-hmm.
It's still going like the ego self is seeing differences, separation, comparison, not love, not joining, not one. And the ego's like, yeah, I'm glad to see that we're separate and different. Okay.
Now, it hasn't said it yet, but Anna and I didn't get a chance to read this before class. We just did the random number generator
Right before
a
class.
minute before we pushed live.
We both had a long work day.
And it hasn't said it yet, but wouldn't you agree that the ego also sees itself as one with everybody, that I'm guilty,
Right.
you're guilty.
I'm different, you're different.
Yeah.
We're different.
Yeah, I'm different than you are.
I'm guilty, you're guilty.
None of us are joined.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We all have to pick a side or whatever the story
We're all
is.
different.
And to prove that we're different, you be Republican and you be
whatever.
Democrat. And then this other person comes in and goes, I want to be independent. I want to be like
I'm a libertarian.
And so the ego is always striving
That's all the ego cares
to
about.
be the opposite of Christ, which isn't like anybody, different.
Which is not being one with anybody.
Yeah. And if it does agree that we're the same, it will only agree at the level that we're all a bunch of boneheads.
Yes, and we're all guilty, and all separate, and all different. So our true self is like, oh, this person is a part of me, and they're beautiful, and I can't help but love them. And then our ego self, our fake self, is like, this person, we're different. I'm comparing myself. We're different, and I don't love them because now I can only be afraid. If I think I'm different from this person, I can only be afraid of them. Now, of course, I won't say I'm afraid. I'll call it like, oh, we're different, and that's why you're wrong. But our fake self, our not true self, does not see that we're one, does not see that we are like each other, and does not have a loving perception.
Right.
Okay. So that's the difference between our true self and our fake self, the Christ in us and the ego in us. Okay. Now it says, yet what you seek for is a source of joy as you conceive it. And what you seek for is what you think is going to make you happy.
As you conceive.
Right. As you conceive of happiness. What you seek for is what you think will make you happy as you perceive happiness. Right. And that's true for everybody. You're going to look for what you think is going to make you happy as you define happiness. That's universal. That's human. That's universal. So whatever you look for is what you think is going to make you happy as you define happiness. Now, that's because what you wish for is true for you. What you wish for is true for you. That don't mean it's true in reality, but it's true for you because you wish for that. You want that.
Right. Wouldn't you agree that, A Course in Miracles is this like
tome,
heavy monster book.
A tome.
I mean, just huge.
Massive.
But wouldn't you agree that in all of the reading that we don't read a lot about wishes? And that's kind of what I noticed tonight. But wishes are the same.
Powerful.
Yeah, wishes are powerful.
Wishes make perception. Wishes make perception. What you wish for, you will see. And everybody wants the same thing. That's what A Course in Miracles says. Everybody wants to be happy. And everybody's searching for what will make them happy as they define happiness. And the fact that everybody just wants to be happy is really actually what we all have in common. Everybody wants to be happy, but not everybody's defining happiness in the same way.
Right.
And so, but the thing that completely unites us is that we all want to be happy, and that's what we're all looking for. But some people define happiness as pain. Some people define happiness as sacrifice. Some people define happiness as loss. And some people define happiness like God does, which means no pain, no fear,
And
and awareness of perfect oneness.
And some people, you could say this to a crowd of 1,000 and the entire crowd would be like, that's not me.
Mm-hmm.
But some people wish for punishment for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, everybody says, well, I would never wish for punishment.
Mm-hmm.
But yet there's a part of us, this hidden part of us, that believes that we're sinners, we're guilty,
Yeah.
you know, we're different from creators, so we deserve punishment.
Right.
And so it secretly has a wish to punish itself.
Right.
And we're totally unaware of it. And the Course is telling us right here in paragraph 1, our wishes are extremely powerful. And if you're wishing for punishment because you believe you're guilty, you're a sinner, that you deserve punishment, that you deserve to be, you know, in a lake of fire or whatever, then you'll
experience that.
What
that will be true for you.
Yeah.
It's not true. It'll never be true in reality that you deserve punishment.
Right.
But if you wish for punishment, then you'll seek for that, thinking that will make you happy, and punishment will be true for you. But that doesn't mean that that's true in reality. Reality, God never, never, never believes that you deserve punishment or wants punishment for you, ever. But if you wish for punishment, believing that punishment will bring guiltlessness, which means happiness to you, then that will be true for you. And you will think, by being with this person or receiving this punishment, that will make me feel innocent, which will make me feel happy, then that will be true for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll think, I am happy because I got my punishment and now I'm innocent again, right? It says what you wish is true for you. Doesn't mean it's true in reality, but what you wish for is true for you. You know why? Because it's not possible that you can wish for something and lack faith that it's true. If you wish for punishment, thinking punishment will clear me of my guilt and then I'll be happy, then you will have faith that is true, that that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then you will seek for punishment so that you can feel innocent again, and thinking that will enable you to feel happy again. And you'll believe that it's only possible to feel happy and guiltless and innocent after you receive your punishment. If you believe that's true for you, then that is what you will experience. But that doesn't mean that that's reality. Yeah, exactly. Sarah says, love hold no records of wrong. God is love. God holds no records of wrong. That's correct. That's correct. Sarah, have you studied A Course in Miracles for a while? Are you familiar with A Course in Miracles? Have you studied it? And then Tricia says, OMG, the last time I did what I thought was joy, ! No, let's stop and ask, God, what is it you want for my happiness? Now that's joy. Very good, Tricia. You're such a great teacher of Course in Miracles, Tricia. You really are.
And Tricia, what I'm talking about is, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I really thought this with Anna this week is that a day could be coming soon where the world wakes up to, hey,
Course in Miracles.
We have been duped. We've been lied to. We've been eating some stale manna
for eons.
And we need this curriculum. But just like me, one thing I love teaching with Anna and being with Anna is Anna was my teacher. She was my teacher for a year and a half, 2 years before we ever even started dating. And as a teacher, I would read the course.
He was hungry.
And I needed somebody to translate because I've been taught all of the meaning to words by the world. The world taught me what the meaning of sin means, what the meaning of forgiveness,
what the meaning of God
what
was.
the meaning of atonement means,
Mhm.
what the meaning of love, according to the world, means. And Anna, as she was my teacher, took all this time for me to, and it took. I was telling her the other night, I remember being in your class for over a year, and we were in this class, and you were teaching, and I was like, I would have never solved that. I would have never solved that. I am never going to get this. This is too complicated. This is too, and it wasn't complicated. My ego
Resistance.
was resisting it, going, Greg, this is too complex, too wild.
You'll never get this, Greg.
Too weird. You need to go back to just being somebody that didn't care.
Mhm.
But
Right.
I'm telling you, when the world wakes up to it, right now, I believe the teachers of God are on vacation. I think we're just kind of sunbathing and
Taking a little bit of break
we're taking a break
before called into action, called into service.
A day's coming. I'm believing that, and it's not me believing. It's just something that happened this past week with Anna discussing all this. Where like a tsunami wave of hunger will be coming,
Yes.
and we are going to be busy.
We're going to be busy. We're going to be in demand.
Because there's going to be people like Greg in the first couple of years.
Exactly.
I was showing up every week.
And he was there, rain, shine, front row, every single class I did.
There were weeks
because
tears just streamed down my face just because I was like, oh, I needed to hear this tonight.
Yes. You remember you told me that, I mean, when you came to class, you were beginning your process through a divorce after being married for 18 years and very, challenging divorce. And I remember you telling me that your experience of being in class was having been holding your breath for the whole week, and then when you got to class, it was like you were able to like take a breath, like surface and take a breath.
Right.
Very profound. And that's the way the course was for me too. The course literally saved my life also. And and that's what A Course in Miracles does. It saves your life. It saves it brings you back to sanity, when you were, thinking that, you'd never have peace again.
Right.
They don't call it A Course in Miracles for nothing. I love it. Mary says that's so cool that Anna's your teacher. Anna's the best communicator with the course. Thank you. And Greg, when he came in, did not have his hearing aids, and he has only 30% hearing in one ear. And he said, "I could hear you."
Right.
That's one of the ways that you knew that I was your teacher.
Right.
You could actually hear me because I'm so loud.
Well, she articulates the words good.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I sat in the front row. Not just to be a teacher's pet, but I did not want to miss what was being said. I was hungry and I needed it. I wanted it. And guess what? My wish came true.
That's right. What does it say about your wish? It says, what you seek for is a source of joy as you conceive it. What you wish is true for you. What you wish is true for you. What you wish is true for you. So what do you wish? Whatever seems true for you, that's what you wish for, right? Whatever seems true for you. And either you wish for illusion or you wish for truth. You were wishing for truth. You were seeking for truth. I was seeking for truth. No. And it says, so, nor is it possible that you can wish for something and lack faith that it is so. So whatever you wish for, you are going to have faith that is true, that will work to make you happy, right? That's the power of your mind. That's the power of your mind. Whatever you wish for is true for you, right?
Hi,
And what
Monica.
and hi, Monica. Lovely to see you. What do you wish for? You know, do you wish for the truth? Do you wish for peace? Do you wish for love? Do you wish for peace of mind? Well, whatever you wish for is true for you. Now, if you're wishing for truth and true peace, lasting peace of mind, then you're wishing for something that actually is true in reality. But if you're wishing for how to be happy by being made special, then yeah, that'll be true for you. If I could just get that person to make me special, I'd be happy, you know. But that's not true in reality.
Mhm.
So the whatever you wish for is true for you. Okay? Very powerful statement. And whatever it is that you wish for, it's impossible that you perceive that it's impossible. You're not going to wish for something and not believe it's possible.
Right.
You know,
That would
even if
kill
it's a
the wish.
teeny tiny little wish back
Right.
there. If you wish for something, then you're going to have some sort of at least teeny tiny belief that it's possible.
Mhm.
Right. Now it says that's because wishing makes real, just as surely as will creates. The power of a wish upholds illusions as strongly as does love extend itself. So the power of a wish upholds illusions. Just want you to hear that. Okay. You know, what is it that makes uh, a lie have such power over us?
Mhm.
It's the power of our wish.
Mhm.
The power of our wish makes things that aren't true seem true, you know? So our wishes have power. Our thoughts have power. Our wishes have power because whatever you wish for will seem true to you, you know? Now, then it says that's the reason why it we've experienced how we could be deluded by an illusion for so long. Like, how does I didn't see that that person really didn't love me and was using me for all those years? How come I didn't see that? Because the power of a wish upholds deception.
Mhm.
I didn't see that that person didn't really love me and was using me and was hurting me. I didn't see the truth of it because I wished that they would love me. I wished that they loved me for real. So I didn't really see the truth of the matter.
And in the context of what we're reading
Mhm.
in this particular class,
Mhm.
we could take it to we wish there's a part of us that wishes that we're different, that we're not the same. And so that wish of wanting to be different, I'm independent.
I'm better. I'm
I've got
worse.
my own world I'm doing. I'm separated from all you
I'm more
wacky
than.
people.
I'm less than
And so that power of
of
wish
that wish.
makes it true for me. And so
Yes.
for me, it seems very real that we're separated.
Yeah, and different.
It seems very real that we're different.
Right.
And so therein lies the problem.
Right. So, just because you perceive something doesn't necessarily mean that is true.
Mhm.
Because that's what we're hearing here. It's possible that because of the power of your wish that it be true, that it seems true for you. But just because it seems true for you does not necessarily mean that it is true.
Right.
And so you want to question, what you're experiencing, especially if it's not making you happy. And you want to say, maybe what I'm seeing is not making me happy really isn't true. Maybe it only seems like that because I wish that be that way.
Mhm.
And as soon as you begin to question it, then now you're able to not suffer from it, right?
And we can see how our relationships suffer,
Mhm.
whether it's in the home or at the workplace or just our neighbor next door. But if I'm looking at somebody at the workplace as an idiot, then of course I'm looking at them as different from me.
Then that's what you wish to
And
see.
so I'm wishing to see that. And because of that wish,
Mhm.
now
It will seem
it's
true to you.
manifesting the things that make us
Right.
different.
It'll seem true
You're
to
an
you.
idiot. I'm not an idiot.
Right. And that seems true.
You're doing stupid stuff. I don't do stupid stuff.
Mhm.
And so now I'm the one manifesting through a wish that we're different. And so that's how you appear to be an idiot
Mhm.
to me. And it's only true for me.
Right.
And what's really happening here because of my wish for that
Mhm.
is I'm not able to see you as you truly are.
Right.
That wish is blocking
Mhm.
my personal separated wish from the creator's wish,
Mhm.
is blocking my ability to see you correctly, which is blocking my ability to have a real relationship
And to
with
be
you,
happy.
because I'm just having a relationship with somebody I wish to have a relationship,
Right.
not with somebody that really I'm having a relationship with their true self.
Right.
And so I'm being deceived and fooled by my own little magic wand of
Wishes. Exactly. So if you are experiencing sadness, anger, depression, a feeling of separation, comparison, then that is because that is what you wished to see, and because that's what you wish to see, you believe that is true.
Mhm.
And how do we know that all you're perceiving is something you wish to be true that ain't true? If you're suffering and you're angry and you're sad and you feel hurt or you feel betrayed or you feel guilty, you are seeing only what you wished to be true, that you think now is true. Now, how do we know that? Because what is actually true in reality could only make you blissfully happy and loving and fall in love with whatever you're seeing. Right. So if you're not happy and you're feeling betrayed and angry and guilty and ashamed, we know that all you're seeing is what you had wished to be true. That isn't true.
Mhm.
Because what is true in reality, as established by God, the author of reality, could only make you happy.
Mhm.
So, if you're not happy, you're only seeing your wishes, what you wish to be true.
Mhm.
That now you see is true because you wished it to be true.
Right.
Okay.
And we never, of course, see it that way.
Of course.
We're like, well, that's not happening because of my wish.
No.
Because it's happening to me.
Right.
Me.
We never go, I didn't wish to be betrayed and abandoned.
Right.
No, we never, we don't see that. We never say that. But the truth is that if we're not in love with what we're seeing, if we're not happy with what we're experiencing, then all that we are seeing is what we wished to be true that was not true. Because reality, what is true is wholly kind to everyone and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Forever.
It sure is.
And if you are not experiencing loving what you see and knowing that you are one with what you see, then all you're experiencing is what you wish was true. That is not true. What's real and true is what's only loving and what's one with you. Right. And if you're not seeing what you see as one with you and you are loving it because it's one with you, then what you're seeing is only your wish fulfilled. That's it.
And hey, Dan, so good to see you.
Yeah, Dan Clark.
I don't know if you heard earlier, our wish to have an RV and travel around and see our mighty companions. You're definitely
totally
on our list.
And Dan, where are you from? Where are you watching us from? Where Where in the world are you watching us from? You're new to our
I was
class.
thinking Dan was.
Dan Smith.
Yep, I was thinking
different Dan. Different Dan. But still a Dan who is one with us.
Still a Dan that's one with us.
And that we're happy to see. So welcome, Dan, to our class. And where are you watching us from? Where in the world? And welcome. Thanks for being here. And Dan, are you familiar with a course? Have you been studying a course? Oh, Idaho. Okay, wonderful. Love Idaho. I've been telling Greg, I want to go to Idaho. Idaho is gorgeous. You said you visited. You visited where?
Colorado.
Did you visited Colorado? Yes. Okay. Did you ever come to the class at the Miracle Center? All right. Anyway, thank you for joining us, Dan. We're lovely. We're happy to have you here.
And Monica, so good to see you.
Hopefully someday. Been to the center for years. Okay. Wonderful. I didn't. Have we ever met in person, Dan? So you've been center for years? Miracle Center. Okay. Great. Okay. Well, next time you are at the Miracle Center, come and tell us, say hello many times. Okay. Next time, come to say, I'm Dan Clark from Idaho. Wonderful. Okay. Wonderful. All right. And one time. Okay. And I would love to visit Idaho. Idaho's been on my list, my bucket list for a long time. Cool. Yeah. So, all right, guys. Okay, you ready to hear more about your true self? Ready? Do you want some more? Do you wish to hear more about your true self?
I wish to hear more.
Okay.
That got
apparently Spirit. I know Spirit jumped up on that one.
Hey, buddy.
Okay. So it says, wishing makes real as surely as does will create. The power of a wish upholds illusions as strongly as does love extend itself, except that one deludes, wishes, and the other heals. So wishes delude and willing heals. So we got two things going on here. I can either wish for something that ain't true and see that it's true, even though it ain't true, and suffer, be deluded, or I can will and I can join and create with what is true and experience the joy and the fulfillment that comes from that. Those are my two options.
So I can wish that my brother or sister is guilty.
Right. And we're separate, different.
And they will be guilty to me.
Right.
Not
to you.
To God, not to
not
God,
in reality.
Not to Gabriel,
nope.
Michael, or the rest of heaven.
Just to you.
But for me, because I'm wishing for it, and it's true for me.
Right.
And I'm going to get the rewards of that. Yeah.
You're going to get the results of that.
Yeah, the effect of that.
Exactly.
But willing, I can go, well, geez, I'm willing to see you innocent.
I'm willing to see that this person is one with me.
Is one with me.
The same. And love them.
The same light.
And be made happy by that perception.
Yeah, the same image. That's how God looks at everything, is the same likeness and image.
I'm willing to see this person as God sees them.
And we go, I'm going to make a world where I'm going to make everything unlike my image, unlike the same likeness, and see how that works out.
Right. So there's two things here, two options here.
Wishing and willing.
Wishing and willing. I can either wish to see things as I want them to be and suffer because of that, or I can join with what God has already established as reality for everyone and be happy. Those are my two options.
Right.
I can wish that things be as I would like them to be and be unhappy, or I can join my perception to what God already has established as reality and be happy. Those are my two options. Wishing and willing.
Wishing.
W and W. Wishing or willing. Right. And whatever I wish will be true for me. Not true in reality, but it'll be true for me. And I'll suffer. And I'll suffer because of that. All right. And then Monica says, why would anyone not love themselves? I wish to feel that. So, Monica, you saying you wish to have the experience of loving yourself, right? So, why would anyone not love themselves? The only reason anyone would not love themselves is because they had learned that they were unlovable. That's it. That's it. So, you would not love yourself only if you learned that you were not lovable.
Right.
And if you learned that you were not lovable, then you learned wrongly.
Hi, Irene. We were just talking about you earlier.
Yes, we were, Irene.
But
Yes.
yeah, catch it on the replay and just know that we love you.
Yes,
and that
absolutely.
we're one with you.
We're so happy to be one with you, Irene. Love it. And Irene is on the western slope. She's just outside of Valley View, Crestone, the other side of the mountain from Crestone. So.
And Monica, a lot of the what I call religious chat sites that I go to on the internet, what I've really noticed is our strong desire, wishing desire to be guilty, to be what the world calls a sinner, because that way we've defined that's how it is to be humble.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the humble will inherit the earth. And how were we taught to be humble? Well, to confess that you're
guilty,
and that you're separate, that you're not in Creator's likeness and image. You are just a piece of trash that, you know, if you're lucky, you can hook up with something else, somebody else, and not be a piece of trash only because of this other person's credentials.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that teaching and that programming that we've all been
brainwashing,
and it's not one religion. I'm not like no. It's all the religions of the world.
Whatever religions teach separation
have in common is that you need to do something to be right with Creator. Something's wrong
to be one with God.
And they all have their different formulas of how you can correct that. And so...
And it all entails sacrifice and guilt.
Exactly.
You know?
And so because of that, in our subconscious, I'm a sinner, I'm guilty, I'm not right with Creator, I need to do something, I need to eat different, or I need to talk different, I need to dress different, I need to observe the proper day of the week of worship, or on and on and on the list goes, depending on what doorway you walk through that teaches that you are separate, and that you're not the same.
You're separate.
And again, that's what Eve went through, is if you take a bite of this, whatever religion,
apple,
then this fruit, then you'll be like God. You're not like God yet.
Right. But if you do this, X, Y, Z, then you'll be like God. And by the way, don't try to be like God, or you'll be kicked out of heaven.
Yeah.
You know. So now that is not God. Of Course in Miracles says that's not the way God thinks. That's not the way God is at all. That's definitely the way the ego is, for sure. Right. You know.
And that's why the author of this course said, if you teach as I teach, you're going to be hated of the world, because the world thinks that's blaspheming that you would say, I'm in the likeness of my Creator. I'm not separate from my Creator. The world's like, no, that's not the way it goes. You're separate. And so through all of that is what in the back of our mind teaches us I'm guilty. And so because of that, we all know the guilty deserve punishment. And so really, I deserve punishment. And so now my wish is hidden in the back curtains of my
But
mind,
it's going to be fulfilled.
seeking for ways to punish me because, after all, I deserve it.
Mhm.
And,
And and what you wish you will believe is true for you. So, you know,
I wish that I'm a
Right.
sinner.
like for instance, Irene says, I got stopped by a sheriff for speeding to work today in my new car. I'm just getting used to it, my new car, but I'm like thinking to myself, I'm a miracle worker. Why am I being stopped 50 miles one way? Well, thank you, Irene. I love your honest posts. We love your honest posts, all of you guys. And of course, you know, you are a miracle worker, Irene, just like us, but you're a miracle worker just like us who hasn't completely accepted the truth about ourselves. And so here we are, miracle workers, still experiencing being pulled over by the police. Right. So, you know, so.
And that manifestation comes about because of our wish to maintain this belief that we're separate.
Exactly, which means guilty.
Yeah.
You know, and so we haven't allowed that belief that we're guilty and separate and different to be corrected completely. You know, remember, readiness is not mastery.
Mhm.
And so there still will be times where we are deceived
Mhm.
by our own wish to be
Lots of
guilty,
times.
separate, different. Lots of times.
Every day.
You know, there'll always be temptations to do that. And, you know, so, but that doesn't mean that you are not a teacher of love, a teacher of truth. That doesn't mean you're not needed. Just because you are someone who is still tempted by the ego does not mean that the world doesn't need you as a teacher of truth,
Mhm.
right? The world doesn't need teachers who are perfect. That's not what the world needs.
Right.
You know, so,
God.
so exactly. You know, the world would never be saved. You know,
And
so,
perfect meaning perfect in
meaning no errors, no, you know, perfect meaning never misperceiving.
right. That's what
Right.
I was gonna say that
Exactly.
for
So
the word.
yeah, exactly. That's
'Cause
right.
we are perfect.
Irene is like, yes, I haven't completely accepted the truth about myself. Exactly. And so, you know, and so I wanted to say this earlier. I heard this earlier, but thank you, Irene, because that brought that back. And that is that the world is in desperate need of teachers of truth.
Right.
Um, but the world doesn't need teachers who are perfect.
Mm-hmm.
The world just needs people who are willing to learn the truth,
Right.
and who are willing to share the truth, even though they're still sometimes tempted by the ego. But here we are telling ourselves, well, how can I be of service to the world when I'm not perfect?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the world doesn't need, the world would not be able to relate to you if you were perfect.
Mm-hmm.
If I was perfect and I did not have an ego, nobody would listen to me. You know, nobody would be able to relate to me.
And I got
No?
a ticket a while back too, Irene, and I'll tell you, because of my Scorpio in my chart, and this is just a confession on my part. I didn't
Confession.
do it. I didn't do it. But I told her, I said, yeah, for days after that ticket, I thought about where that cop was hiding on the around the corner of this mountain bend. So when you came around the corner,
Scorpio.
and I thought about revisiting that little pull off area where he must hide every day, and put little, because I'm a contractor, on the side, and put little roof nails in the dirt so that they're not very seen. But when he pulls over that spot, that all of a sudden his tires will slowly go.
Pop, 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 pop. Scorpio.
And I told her of several other little
fantasies
fantasies
of revenge.
I was having about this person, not realizing that officer showed up going, hello,
Hey,
just
stop speeding.
at your request, I'm here.
Stop
And I'm
speeding.
like, I didn't request you.
I don't speed.
And the cop's like, oh yeah, you requested me somewhere in your week here.
Because you wanted to be
You were
safer.
wishing to be separate from other people.
Mhm.
You remember that coworker where you thought they were an idiot and you're separate from them?
Mhm.
Well, here I am,
Mhm.
the person that's separate from you
Mhm.
because you called for me to appear in your nightmare.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I would never call
Blah,
for that.
blah. I would never go for that. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. and truly, the Course in Miracles, like I was teaching in my class on Monday night, last night, that 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 the world needs teachers who still have a body
Mhm.
and are still experiencing the things that you experience in a body. If you have a body, you have an ego,
Right.
and you're going to experience all the shit that comes with being in a body and being in this world, but if I didn't have a body and wasn't going through getting pulled over by the police or whatever, then literally the humans of the world, the Course calls them those still deluded, would not be able to relate to me or hear the voice for God through me.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Course in Miracles is teaching us, don't feel guilty about having an ego, and don't feel guilty about still making mistakes. If you didn't have an ego and you didn't have a body and you weren't still making mistakes, then the world, humans, would not be able to relate to you and be able to learn through you about the truth that is beyond the body and beyond all that. So, it's like, here we are, we're students of the truth, and we're being called upon, the world's like, we need you. We need teachers of truth. But here we are, we're like, oh, but I'm not perfect, and oh, I still get pulled over by the police, and oh, I still get mad and attack, and oh, I still blah 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 and make mistakes, and oh, I still blah blah, thinking, because I have an ego and I have a body, I'm still making mistakes, then I'm of no use.
Mm-hmm.
That humanity could need me because I still have an ego and I still have a body. No, humanity needs you because you have an ego and because you have a body and you're still making mistakes. Because if you didn't have a body and you didn't have an ego and you weren't making mistakes and weren't being pulled over by the police, then humanity could not relate to you.
Yeah,
at all.
Because you would be off in heaven, not able to be here to help be a savior.
Exactly.
So
if you're going to be a savior to the people of the world, you got to speak their language, and it has to be that they think you're like them. That's what A Course in Miracles says. You cannot be helpful to them if they don't think you're like them.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, if I was like, I never get pulled over by the police, I'm perfect, I don't have an ego, I'm perfect, I never suffer, nobody in the world would give you a second thought. They would never listen to what you had to say because they couldn't relate to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so us God's teachers need a body, and we even need an ego to be of service to God's children who still think that they are their body and that they are their ego. So don't be ashamed of having an ego and being in a body and getting pulled over by the police and all of that. Don't be ashamed of that. That the world needs that.
And just to put a cap on that police story, so the police show up to pull me over, give me a ticket, and I'm going for days thinking how different we are, how we're not the same, how we're separate.
And revenge.
And revenge. And thinking, not realizing that story showed up and I manifested it, as it said. If you wish for it, you manifest it, and it's real
for you.
For you.
For you.
Not real in truth, but it's real for you.
For you.
And so now this police story shows up in my week, which came from another story of me thinking I'm not the same as somebody else, I'm separate, and not realizing that was an effect of the cause of an effect from a few days earlier. And now he shows up, and now I'm wishing that we're not the same, wishing we're not the same, to the point that I'm wanting to do things that I would never do to myself. I never put nails in my own tires. But I'm wishing, having little
wishful thinking,
wishful fantasies of that happening to this other person, not realizing that wish is continuing the loop.
Yes.
So in the next day, 2 or 3 from now, it's not going to be a police officer, but it's going to be something else that's going to show up in my experience that I manifested again.
Maybe a nail in your tire.
Yeah, thinking.
Which you have manifested.
Which I have manifested. Exactly that.
A nail in your tire.
2 of them in 1 week.
What a coincidence.
And not realizing, that was connected to that.
I wish.
And even though we're in a dream world, a dream state of sleep, even in the dream, what I'm realizing is you can't escape from truth, even in a false dream.
That's right.
Because now, once I realize the principles, I go, so I am connected to that police officer, even though I want to be separate, because look, I just manifested 2 different flat tires. I mean, within 1 week is ridiculous. I'm like, once in a while you get
a flat tire,
this random, and they were both nails. And one in, and then no sooner than I got that tire fixed, which I had to spend half my day at the tire shop. It was within a week I had another one. I'm like, that's so.
Wait a minute. What are the chances
put it
of that?
together. And just now as we're talking about it, realizing, but that's how it always works.
It's always happens.
Why? Because we are connected. Even
because we are one.
We're one. And so if I'm going to give him a nail, I get a nail.
That's right. That's the way it goes.
You get a nail. You get a nail. You get a nail.
Whatever you wish for, you know, is real for you. That's true. Whatever you wish for someone else is true for you.
Yeah.
You know.
So if I wish,
because we're one.
They're Islam, or they're Southern Baptist, or they're black, or they're white. In other words, they're separate and different from me. I'm going to get that wish. And what is that going to mean? Very soon in my experience, I'm going to experience
something real for you.
What it feels to be separate. Maybe I'm going to go to a company dinner, and I'm going to feel totally left out from what
everyone gets a nail. Right, exactly. Now, back to the beginning of this section is that, you know, your true self, the Christ in you, what it sees in everyone, police officer or whoever, is that that person is a part of you that you can't help but love because they're a part of you. And so you love them. And then all you get from that experience is love, you know, so that's what the Christ in you sees. So the Christ in you would have seen that situation very differently. The Christ in you would have seen that police officer as a part of you and couldn't help but love him and would give in love to him.
Right.
And, you know, and your fake self, the ego self, is the one who saw that police officer as different and out to get you and deserving of revenge. You know, so. And then whatever you wish for, do you wish, you know, to see that person as one with you, or do you wish that they suffer because they're different from you? You know, so you know, it's a great example. And Irene, thank you for your real life examples. And Trisha, you too. Thank you for your real life examples. And Greg, thank you for real life examples. Honestly. That's what we need. That's what Greg and I are all about in our Course in Miracles classes. Real life application examples, like, you know, how do we apply these ideas to our real life experiences? And the Course in Miracles says that's the only way you'll ever know A Course in Miracles is true, literally, until you apply them to the police officer pulling you over, until you apply it to your fantasy that the police officer drive on nails, until you apply it to what's real for you, then you'll never know that A Course in Miracles ideas are true. So good job of being honest. Irene and Trisha, both of you, all of us, this is what it really means to apply A Course in Miracles to our experiences so that we can see that the ideas are true. So Trisha says, I had a blowout last week, the day I heard my aunt was unresponsive.
Yeah, and you think your aunt is separate and different from you, but Spirit's going. You remember when you were unresponsive the other day when that story happened and you saw yourself different, you were unresponsive, and all of heaven was going, come on, Trisha.
Come on, Trisha. Come back
There's
to us.
In you. Come out.
Come on. Yeah. We've all had those moments when we were unresponsive.
Right.
And Holy Spirit's like, come on, come back to me.
Yeah.
Come back to us. Exactly. And Irene says, miracle workers need a body. The world needs us. Thank you. And, that's the point, that the world needs you as a teacher of truth and love, even if you're not perfect. It doesn't matter. The world does not need perfect teachers because the world won't be able to relate to perfect teachers. The world will only be able to relate to you if you're not perfect, which means if you're still learning, if you still have an ego, you still have a body. So stop feeling guilty about making mistakes. Stop feeling guilty about having situations where you're tempted to respond with something besides love. Don't feel guilty about that. The world needs that. The world needs you because you still have an ego, because you still have a body. If you didn't have a body and an ego, the world wouldn't even see you. The world would be like, they wouldn't even see you. So you really can't be helpful to the world unless you still have a body and an ego. So don't be ashamed about having a body and having an ego and still learning and making mistakes. That's what enables the world to be able to relate to you, which means to learn from you. So don't feel guilty about that. Don't tell yourself, oh, I can't be a teacher of love because I'm not perfect. Don't tell you. That's a lie. The world needs you because you're still making mistakes and you're not perfect in your learning. Okay? Honestly, if there's a teacher that has no body and they have no ego and they don't make mistakes anymore, I'm not going to see that person. I'm not going to see them. I'm not going to be able to be helped by them. Right? So don't feel guilty about your mistakes. The world still needs you. Don't feel guilty about still learning and making mistakes. The world still needs you. Okay, so just keep learning and keep practicing, keep doing what A Course in Miracles is telling you to do. I love that. Okay, so why don't we stop there?
What?
I know. Sorry.
I know.
What
time is it?
We've been online for 1 hour and 32 minutes.
Oh wow!
I know. Time flies when you're having a good time, huh?
I guess so, people.
Time flies when you have the correct perception. You'd never guess it was been an hour and a half. Huh?
Right.
Yeah.
See how fun it is being with you guys.
That's how fun it is. That's how fun it is being with you guys, sharing truth with you guys. Trisha says, it has been an interesting week of lessons when I realized she's not the body either. That's right. That's exactly right. That's beautiful. Well, you guys, it's been so much fun joining on Truth with you that we didn't even realize it was an hour and a half. Irene says, it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. So, I don't know how many paragraphs there are, but I know there's more than 2. We've only read 1.
We did, that was 1 paragraph.
We just did, as they say, scratch the surface.
That's 1 paragraph.
Of your interests. And so, as we always do, encourage you to read the rest of the section.
And learn about your true self.
And learn about your true self. I love hearing that there's a Christ in me, but I always think yeah, that's somebody else.
Right.
That's some other innocent being
Who's perfect,
that's putting up with me.
and they don't ever make any mistakes.
Yes.
Right. Uh, there is a Christ in you. That's your true self.
And you know who we refer to as the Christ demonstrated and showed the way. And what was the way? The Christ was willing to listen to Creator and willing to see themselves as not separated from everybody else. And that's why people are like, he's a drunkard and a glutton, because he didn't see himself separated from somebody drinking or eating a lot. He just hung out with all kinds of people because
who weren't perfect.
he
Who
didn't
weren't
see
perfect
himself different
as
or
those who are not
separated.
perfect. Right.
And so he was willing to see himself as one.
And
that was the ultimate demonstration.
And now they were able to learn from him,
Right.
you know, because he didn't see himself as different. You know, he didn't see himself as like, I'm perfect, but you're not. You know, he was with them with all his flaws. And that's why they were able to learn from him and be healed, you know, from him, because, you know, they were like, well, he's like me, he's flawed. He gets angry, he gets upset, he gets worried, he cries. And so he's like me. And so because they saw themselves as one with him, now they can learn from him and be healed by him. And that's the way that the people that the universe are sending to you will be healed, be able to be healed by you, even though you're not perfect. Right? Because they'll be like, well, she's not perfect, but you know, she's still happy and she's still having miracles in her life. So I guess I can have that too. You know, we don't heal people because, oh, I'm so perfect. And like, you know, people are not healed by your perfection. I just want you to know that. It's not like people go, oh, she's so perfect and that healed me. That is not how people are like, well, she's flawed. She's expressing she's still afraid. But she was willing and she experienced that. So maybe me too, you know. So when people see that you're like them, then they will love you. And then they will be healed by that. So don't stop God and love from using you just because you still have an ego and a body and you're not perfect. I mean, you are perfect in your reality, but your ego will never be perfect, you know. And as long as you have a body, there's a good chance you're going to have an ego. So don't stop allowing love to use you just because you still have an ego and you have a body and you still make mistakes, right? People can't relate to you if you don't have a body and you don't still make mistakes. So don't feel guilty about that, and don't stop allowing and asking God to use you, use your body, you know, to heal the world.
All right, baby.
Okay.
I guess we have to go now.
I guess so.
We love you guys.
I love you guys so much.
Thank you for joining.
Love you guys. See you next time we see you. So happy to be you.